Hi, it's Bree, the registered nurse and certified health coach behind hippydippymom.com. I'm really excited to bring you today's guest. She is Jilly Blankenship from BabySleepMadeSimple. She is a fellow nurse, but now helps sleep-deprived and tired mamas get their babies and kids to sleep or to nap more regularly so that we're not cranky, grumpy monsters. I definitely wish I had this information available to me when my daughter was younger. She is 6 years old now, so she sleeps through the night, no problem. And I guess I was kind of lucky when she was a baby because she at about 5 to 6 months old, so I didn't have to suffer for too long. So just waiting one more second while Facebook. Yay, there you are. Hi.
Hey, Bree.
Thank you for being on. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Awesome. I'm excited to have you. This is really good and important information because it is no fun having a little one that does not sleep.
No, it's definitely not, to put it slightly, simply.
Yeah, definitely. So why don't you just give us a little introduction, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into helping us tired mamas get our babies to sleep.
Absolutely. Thanks again for having me. I'm Jilly Blankenship from Baby Sleep Made Simple, and I am a pediatric nurse and lactation consultant, and now I focus specifically on helping exhausted parents get their little ones sleeping well so they can get their energy back, start feeling like themselves again.
Yeah.
And so they can enjoy every day and, be able to cope and thrive with mom life. So, yeah, I've been helping parents learn how to take care of their babies for about 12 years now.
Wow.
And I kind of thought I had babies figured out. I was pretty confident. I got pregnant 5 years ago, and I was like, oh, okay, I know babies. This is going to be, fairly simple. Every mom watching the video laughs.
Yeah.
And I think my biggest surprise with motherhood was how much sleep deprivation just spilled into every area of my life. And how, having broken sleep night after night, month after month, really made me irritable and made me anxious. And I had no energy. I was completely drained. I didn't want to meet up with my friends. I wasn't getting along with my husband. It spilled into everything. And so I feel like I was pretty fortunate because I knew that sleep was the problem. So I just knew I had to get this sorted out. I had to get my baby sleeping. I had to get our family sleeping so that we could be, happy and look forward to every day with her. So I was pretty lucky that I kind of knew what the problem was. But the big problem was that I felt like all the methods out there, whether they were online or in books, whether you wanted to do Ferber or Gina Ford or No Cry Sleep Solution, I feel like they were all sort of, one size fits all. And it didn't really work with my daughter because I figured out her personality pretty early on, like most moms do. And she was pretty sensitive and she's very affectionate. She's pretty adaptable, but at the same time, determined. And so I try all these, methods and steps that they told me to do, and it didn't really work well. So I really needed to kind of blend the methods together and really customize an approach for her. And so I sat down with my husband, my daughter was 7 months old and I had hit a breaking point. I was like, something's got to change. And so we came up with a plan. We came up with a step-by-step plan of taking a little bit of all the popular methods, what we thought would suit her personality. And we did it. And we got her sleeping through the night, and then we were sleeping through the night, and then I saw how amazing it felt and how pretty much overnight I had my energy back and I was, optimistic again, and I was fun again. And we were all getting along. And so my husband, he just looked at me. He's like, you really have to focus on sleep. We've been through it. You're a nurse, this should be what you specifically help people with. And he was right. And so that's how I sort of zeroed in my focus on sleep, because before I was kind of helping with all aspects of new baby care. And since then, the response has been pretty overwhelming. It seems like most parents need help getting their little ones sleeping well. So that's been my focus for the last several years.
That's awesome. I know I felt overwhelmed, reading about like sleep training and all that stuff when my daughter was a baby, and I was already tired and stuff. So just, anything extra I felt was like too much at the time.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of thought, eventually she'll start sleeping through the night. So we didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And like I kind of mentioned in the intro, my daughter, I think she started sleeping through the night at about 5 to 6 months old, which for some people, that's pretty early. But that's still 5 or 6 months where I was exhausted. And like you said, it spilled over into everything. As you know, I'm a nurse too. So going back to work and having those 12-hour shifts, oh my gosh, it was hard.
Those are training when you've had a full night's sleep, and when you haven't, it's nearly impossible, and you've got to take care of other people, right? So you really have to be your best. Yeah, exactly. Well, I would say you're pretty lucky. About 1 out of 5 babies are what I call laid back, or what a lot of people call easy babies, or easy sleepers, and they do tend to sort of glide through all transitions and end up sleeping longer and longer stretches, and then eventually through the night when they're able, usually between 6 to 9 months. So that's amazing. My daughter did.
Yeah.
The downside of that is about 4 out of 5 babies, or about 80%, they need some assistance. They need the parents just to sort of like gently guide them toward sleeping longer stretches, having more consistent sleep routines and consistent sleep patterns that they can follow their parents' lead. And that was my case with my daughter, and certainly all the parents that reach out to me, I guess.
Yeah. So you help not just with getting them to sleep through the night, but also with napping too, right?
Yeah, definitely. All aspects of baby, toddler, and preschooler sleep up to 4 and 5 years old. Wow. My approach for teaching little ones to sleep well is to really separate out all the steps, because I found that when we try to do everything at once, and when we start on day 1 saying, okay, we're going to do everything, we're going to do bedtime, we're going to do night wakings, we're going to do a new bedtime, we're going to do naps, it's really abrupt. It's a lot of change for your baby. Yeah. It's a lot of change for you, and it leads to a lot of stress and a lot of tears typically. Yeah. And so my to kind of spread out the steps. So first we focus on bedtime, and we get bedtime working really, really well, and setting up a consistent, peaceful nightly ritual for your little one. And then once that's going well, we focus on night wakings and reducing down or eliminating night wakings depending on how old your baby is. And then once the nights are going really well, then we tackle naps. And by doing that, by separating out, it tends to go easier. It tends to be gentler on your baby, and they usually resist less, which is great for everybody.
Yeah, definitely. So what kinds of transformations have you seen in your practice over the years?
Yeah, we've seen some great ones. I have a mom that I'm working with right now, and she is just, I feel like she's the perfect example of a mom that does join my program. Her name is Stacy, and she joined about 2 months ago. And when Stacy joined, she told me that she had 4 girls, all under the age of 5. Wow. And even I, oh my goodness, are we gonna be able to do this? And Stacy, she was exhausted. Obviously, she was, drained, but she was still so lively. So I had her count, and she was up an average of 14 times every single night.
Oh my gosh!
All of her daughters were waking at different times. They were waking other up. They were sleeping all over that. Her 2-year-old was sleeping on the sofa and taking 2 hours to fall asleep. It was a real nightmare. And like I said, I was even nervous. This is gonna work. And she chose to just do the whole family at once. She knows, mom knows best. What was phenomenal, and even I was so surprised and so happy for her, was within 2.5 weeks, she told me, we've gone from waking up 14 times a night. Now I have all the kids sleeping in their beds. They're all sleeping in the bedrooms where they should be. And in 2.5 weeks, which is a relatively short amount of time, she had them all sleeping through the night. Like, honestly, no night wakings. She said she would kiss them on the forehead after their bedtime routine. tell them night night, leave the room, no crying, no screaming, no fussing. And so that was phenomenal.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I bet she's the
Yeah,
happiest mama ever now.
definitely. She definitely is. I
Wow.
mean, she still has 4 girls, which is still, she needs her energy, right, to keep up with all
Definitely,
of them.
yeah.
I mean, she's pretty extraordinary. She's the first mom that joined my program with 4 kids, but certainly a lot of moms that join have 1, 2, sometimes 3 kids. I mean, another example is Lorraine, and Lorraine joined about 3 months ago, and her son is named Lewis, and he was about 10, 11 months old. And she had had a really tough birth with Lewis, and they had had a really rough time. It took the first year just to kind of to get over it, to recover. But by the time that he was 10 or 11 months, she was finding that they were co-sleeping. It was the only way that he would sleep, and she really needed some help because she was exhausted. She was having to give him the bottle every night to help him fall asleep, and she was having to hold him until he fell asleep, sometimes for up to an hour or more, and having to do all of it again every time he woke in the night, which was usually every few hours. And so what was great with Lorraine is the way that my program works, and we'll probably get into it in a little while, is you're able to customize the program based on your baby's temperament, your baby's personality. And so what she had tried before hadn't worked, but once she joined the program and she saw the customized, step for his unique temperament, which was more sensitive, then she found that within, I think it was less than 2 weeks, that he was going down easily. He didn't want to be held anymore. He wanted to be in his bed. He fell asleep on his own. He was sleeping through the night. It was amazing that, she'd gone 11 months with broken
Yeah.
sleep, and then in a matter of 2 weeks or so, that Lewis was sleeping so much better and enjoying it, not fighting it and sleeping through the night, but happy to go in his bed and happy to sleep through the night. So that was also, pretty good results. And I'm happy every time the parents write me, with an update telling me. I'm always excited like it's the first time, because I know it feels like,
Yeah.
when they up so much, I'm like, okay. And then when they write saying, oh my gosh, it's amazing, I feel so good, it's the best feeling
Yeah.
ever.
That's what I was going to say. I can just like feel those moms' relief that first night of sleeping through the night. The first night my daughter slept through the night, I have to admit I freaked out a little bit. And I still
Yeah.
woke up to check on her because I was like, something's wrong.
Yeah.
But
That's so. Yeah, or we'll wake up and we'll look at the monitor and we say, "What's wrong?" And we run to the room, and and they're fine, they're sleeping. And then the next step moms always ask me is, "Do you have a program for me? Because my baby's sleeping now, but I'm still awake." So that takes time to sort of get your body used to not wake so often. But yeah, it's a pretty common response that tell me.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people think that, having a routine sleep schedule isn't really something that can be taught. What do you obviously think differently. That's what your whole program is about. So what would you say to people that kind of have doubts about teaching your child to sleep?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I do get asked that a lot. Parents say, won't my child just eventually learn to sleep through the night or learn to sleep well?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is yes, probably, and some babies like yours, they tend to do it younger. Like I said, it's usually about 1 in 5 babies. So I'd say younger than 12 months that kind of just glide through transitions and end up sleeping well. As long as parents follow their sleepy cues, they do quite well. Some children naturally start sleeping better at night around 2. For some, it might be 4 years old. I talked to a mom the other day of a 5.5-year-old who still wakes up every 3 hours. So it's hard to predict, but I would say, the majority of my experience, it's the majority of babies that need a bit of assistance. So they need their parents to just sort of gently guide them into having more of a consistent sleep routine, which is based on their baby's needs. So based on how many hours at night that they should be sleeping and how many hours during the day that they should be napping. So it's not about us imposing what we would want on them.
Mm-hmm.
It's more about knowing how much sleep your baby actually needs to grow and to thrive and to learn and to form memories, and then figuring out how you can help your baby get that amount of sleep. Because a lot of parents will tell me, my baby's quite fussy or clingy, or she's really not taking to solid foods. And then after, they go through the program and their baby's sleeping so much better, they notice a really big improvement. Baby's not so clingy anymore. She's happy to go to, her grandma. She's happy to go to her dad or anybody else, or the babysitter. And we often see the appetite for solids increase as well. So I would say that if you're wondering, if your baby's 5 or 6 months or older, and a lot of moms will just get that their intuition will tell them, I really think my baby could be sleeping more, could be sleeping longer stretches. And when they have that hunch, that's usually a sign that it's time to just gently step in and just to help guide your baby toward more independent sleep and help them learn how to settle themselves down, which sleep longer and longer stretches.
I like how you said, that you have to kind of focus on their temperament and their, personality, because I feel like not just with sleep, but kind of with several habits, we have our kind of quirks, and we have things that we want and habits that we want to keep. And so we just kind of try to force that on our kids.
Yeah.
And usually what ends up happening is it causes conflict, or it causes anxiety on one end or the other, and it causes stress. So I think with most kind of changes that we're going through, I teach about healthy living and stuff. It's a lot about mindset. So it's you have to kind of put yourself aside and really pay attention to your baby's needs. So I think that that's an important thing that you pointed out there.
Oh, yeah, thanks. Yeah, I worked in the neonatal intensive care unit, and it really was astounding to me when, babies were just born. They were a week old, maybe 2 weeks old, that we could really see personality coming through. We saw the babies that were just like happy and that slept all day. We saw the babies that were fussy and they fussed all day. We saw that, the more energetic ones. And so that really blew me away. And then when I became a mom, like I said, I had a hunch on what my daughter's temperament was like, but I thought, oh, there's no way, she's too young. And now that she's just turned 4, like most moms, I was right. I picked up that she was really sensitive and affectionate. And so, yeah, I agree. And as I'm learning to, be a parent of a preschooler now, and learning how to discipline and strategies that really work best for her are completely different than my friend's strategies. Works well for their children. So I don't think sleep would really be any different. It's about behavioral change, and really about finding the best approach that works well for your little one. So I do talk a lot about baby and toddler personality in my program. And then also when you get to my final step, I give you like 4 different pathways to choose from. So there really are lots of options inside the program. It's not, I really didn't want to do a one size fits all, because I found, at least for me, that wasn't what I was looking for, and it was quite discouraging. So I feel like parents these days, we really like to have options, and we know our children best. And so there are plenty of ways to teach babies and toddlers to sleep well. There's not just one way. And so I try to give parents a range of options.
That's so good. That's so good that it's not one size fits all. That will definitely really create, sustainable, healthy sleeping when you're tailoring it to. Yeah.
Exactly. Like following your child's personality, gently guiding them through settling themselves down to sleep and to learning to get a more of a predictable sleep schedule and pattern. But that really works with them, not imposing it on them.
Yeah.
That's basically what, my core idea is about.
So what ages do you target?
Right now, my program covers babies ages 5 months up to 24 months. And it's really meant for little ones that are still sleeping in a crib. So it could even be a little bit older if you're a 2-year-old or even 3-year-old still sleeping in a crib. And it's called 21 Days to Peace and Quiet. And I am right now working on my older kid program and also my newborn program. So in just a few weeks or a few months' time, I'll be able to have options and programs and choices for parents all the way from newborn up to 4 or 5 and even 6 years old.
Oh, that's awesome.
But I really like to take time I like to take the time and customize the programs and really make them appropriate for that group, because it's really quite different how you would help a 6-month-old sleep well versus a 3-year-old sleep well. And
definitely.
So I like to take time and really make it customized for that age group.
Awesome. That sounds great. I can't wait to see those other programs out. Those sound awesome. And really quick, I forgot to mention that if anyone, when they're watching has any questions, just go ahead and put it in the comments, or if you're watching the replay, you can still put it in the comments, or feel free to message Jilly as well. So
yeah, I'd be happy to answer any questions anybody has during the replay. You can message me on Facebook or post under this video, and yeah, definitely. We usually have questions before we want to, make any changes, especially changes with our little ones. So I answer questions every day from exhausted parents, so there's no question that I'll, not answer.
awesome. Yeah, definitely. You have to check things out when it comes to your kids. So I know you mentioned with those 2 examples that you gave that they were seeing results in about 2.5 weeks, but what is about the average time frame you see for people to see the changes?
That's a great question. I would say it really depends on the family. I have parents that when they join, they're really ready to make some changes. They're super exhausted, and they really feel that their baby's ready. So the way that my program is broken down, it's 5 different steps that we work through to get your little one sleeping well. And so some parents choose to work really quickly through those steps. We still focus on one at a time, but you could do each step 1, maybe even 2 days apart. And so they move through it quite quickly, and so they could get really dramatic results. So their baby's night wakings would greatly diminish. The baby would start sleeping through the night, or get dropped down to maybe 1 quick night feed, depending on their baby's age. And all that could happen in around a week's time. For other parents, they prefer to slow down the steps a little bit more and really focus on 1 step at a time until their baby's quite comfortable with that step before making any more changes. And so for these parents, assuming that they're committed and they stay consistent, which is the most important part of making any behavioral change, is staying consistent. So assuming they do that, then they still get dramatic results within, on average, about 3 weeks time. And so that's why I called the program 21 Days to Peace and Quiet. It doesn't mean that it's going to take 3 weeks for you to see any results. It's just that I can, pretty much guarantee with your, commitment and consistency that you'll have a dramatic improvement in your baby's sleep in less than 3 weeks.
Wow, that's so awesome. I mean, 3 weeks, that flies by, like
you blink and 3 weeks is flat, mom.
Oh, that's so cool. So do you have any tips that you can give us now just to kind of get our babies or kids, to sleep easier?
Definitely. As I mentioned before, how I always approach baby sleep and toddler sleep issues is we always begin at bedtime. A lot of parents ask me, should I start with naps because I have a lot of energy, or it's 3 a.m. and I can't take it anymore, I'm just going to start doing Gerber now. Don't do that. Yeah. It's a recipe for disaster. The best way to set your little one up for sleeping well at night is to begin at bedtime. And so we always start at bedtime with a peaceful nightly ritual. And I actually have an free Exhausted Mom Survival Kit, and we can link to that below this video. Yeah. Bree has a link for this. But what I do is I walk parents through the first steps for getting their little ones to set up to be sleeping through the night. And so the first thing we do is we focus on starting a peaceful nightly ritual. So what that entails is if you do certain activities in a certain order at the same time every night, these activities are proven to relax babies. And so my first tip for parents would be to start a consistent bedtime routine every evening. It doesn't have to be elaborate. It can be super simple. The younger your baby is, really the shorter you want it to be, just 10 or 15 minutes. But ideally, you would have a warm bath, which for most people is quite calming and relaxing and sets them up to sleep well. And then I recommend that you give your baby or toddler a massage, which sometimes surprises parents, but I really encourage all parents to try baby and toddler massage. And I link to a video on YouTube that walks you step by step how you can give your baby a massage. But baby massage has been proven to reduce colic and fussiness, teething pain, constipation, and to help babies fall asleep easier. So I highly recommend that you incorporate just a quick, 5-minute or 10-minute massage for your little one. And then you put on pajamas and a sleep sack, and then you can give your baby a feed. And then you can read your baby books before you put him in his bed to fall asleep. And I walk you through all the steps in my free Exhausted Mom Survival Kit. But just to start a consistent bedtime routine every evening. And then your baby's bedtime is really important. timing is everything with helping your child sleep well. And so it's really important what time you put your baby down to sleep in the evening. And in the survival kit, I walk you through your age of your baby and what that age range should be. It's based on your baby's internal body clock. It's governed by hormones and light, and we can really predict at what age babies will fall asleep easiest. So I recommend you work with that ideal bedtime. And then how your baby falls asleep at bedtime is how they're going to expect to fall back to sleep during the night. So if your baby is fed to sleep in a rocking chair in the living room and then falls asleep, and then you move her to her bed and put her down in her crib when she's fast asleep, then when she wakes up later in the night, she's going to be quite confused because she's in a different spot and she's in a bed, she's in a completely different room. So what we then work on is we work on getting your little one comfortable falling asleep where you want them to sleep for the rest of the night, so that when they wake up throughout the night, they're not alarmed and then needing you to come back and sort of recreate that scene of how they fell asleep at bed. Those are the three big ones really for setting your baby up to sleep longer and longer at night. And I walk you through each step in the survival kit, and I tell you exactly how you can do it and where and when and everything. It's got short videos, it's got some visual guides, and it's free. So any parent, mom or dad can sign up whenever they like.
That's awesome. Those sound, very practical. And I like how you said that, the nighttime routine is just 10, 15 minutes, because I think a lot of people think, developing this whole sleep routine and it's going to take so much time and effort. I'm already exhausted. So that's really, really cool and helpful that it's, very short amount of time and very easy to do. And the key is consistency. So I think that's awesome and so nice of you to give all that stuff away for free. So I will definitely link to that in the comments below.
Yeah. Thanks for that. It's you're exactly right. When you're so exhausted and drained, making any sort of a change just feels almost impossible. And so I try to break that into really small and doable steps, and it's probably things that parents are doing anyway. Most parents have started a form of a routine, so really we're just walking through and maybe saying you should probably switch the order on this and do this before this and move the timing a little bit earlier or later. So it often doesn't feel like that big of a task, right? It doesn't take that much energy to do. And then once you start to see results and your baby starts to fall asleep a little bit easier, then parents are really especially with the massage. It's fantastic when you see how well it relaxes your baby, and often they just want to fall asleep right after that.
Yeah, that's something I wish that I would have known when my daughter was a baby, because I never heard of that. I never, practiced it on her. But funny enough, she's 6 years old now, and we still have, our bedtime routine, but now she actually asks for a massage. Which is funny because we didn't do that, with her when she was a baby. So then tell us a little bit about your 21-day program.
So my program now is 21 Days to Peace and Quiet. It's for 5-month-olds all the way to 24-month-olds, or a little bit older, but still sleeping in the crib is ideal. And what I do is I take you step by step through every step that you need to do in order to set your baby up to sleep through the night, or reduce down their night wakings to maybe, one quick night feed, depending on how old your baby is. A lot of parents, what's been interesting for me is that a lot of parents aren't, they don't have to get their baby sleeping through the night immediately. A lot of parents are happy to continue offering 1, maybe 2 night feeds, but they really just want to reduce those night wakings down from, 8 a night down to 1, or maybe not completely reasonable. So I just walk you through what I've made 5 steps to getting your little one sleeping through the night. And I walk you through step by step. We separate all the steps out. And what it is each step has a video that you watch and then a visual guide. And you're able to message me every single day if you've got specific questions, if you want some specific advice based on your situation. We've got a private Facebook group. And every day I answer questions for each individual parent. And also we do regular live calls, just like this call, where I answer live and go over, really frequently asked questions that I get. So you get a lot of personalized support. But what's great is that as soon as you're ready to sign up, you sign up and get access right away. So you don't have to wait several days for me to like write a plan out for you. You don't have to wait for me to have an opening. It's all there and for you. But then as you have questions, then you can write anytime. And I've got reviews on my Facebook page if you know parents would like to go and see. It's called Baby Sleep Made Simple, and you can read the reviews and like I said, you can send me any questions that you might have. But Bree's going to link to the program under this video, so
yeah, and I'll also link to your Facebook page so that they can see just more about you and those testimonials. So, how many people would you say that you've helped over the years?
Wow. Over the years, I would say hundreds, because I've been helping parents for the last 12 years or so. The 21 Days to Peace and Quiet program is pretty new. It's about a year old. And so I've had several parents go through that. I kind of learned over time. I used to help parents a lot more one-on-one, which I really enjoyed doing. But as I helped parents, I found that, you know, I was sort of giving the same steps and the same advice kind of over and over. And I thought, well, wouldn't that be great if I just went ahead and made that program and they didn't have to wait to get, you know, to get the or for me to write up a detailed plan for them. Yeah. So through working with so many parents for years, I kind of came up with the 5 steps to do, and then I made a program for it. So that program's about a year old. I think it's about a year ago when it came out, and then I've been pretty busy helping parents, and some of them reach out to me that have newborns or that have children in toddler beds, and so they want some. I'm trying my hardest to get those programs made soon as well.
Awesome. That sounds so great. Like I mentioned earlier, I really wish that I knew about this when my daughter was little, because it sounds just so easy, so doable. And I mean, getting your sleep as a mom with a little one is just so important.
Yeah, yeah, it's essential.
So, any final things you want to say before we wrap up?
Sure. I like to be completely sleep deprived and thinking that, you know, just taking one step felt like too much, and I don't know where to start and what do I do first, and so I would just say if any parents are feeling like that, then the best place to start is the free Exhausted Mom Survival Kit, because I'll kind of spell it out for you and walk you through the first few steps, and once you see it, like your baby starts sleeping a little bit better, then you get motivated by it, and then I kind of walk you through all the steps to do. So if you're feeling quite lost and overwhelmed, I would just encourage parents to not to that there's always a way. We can always find a way to get babies and toddlers sleeping well that really works with their unique personality, and that's really in tune with your parenting beliefs. I always say, you won't have to do anything that you don't want to do. There are several options for parents to choose from. So don't feel like there's no hope, because there always is hope.
Oh, that's so good. That's such a good note to end on. And I do, again, want to encourage anybody watching the video, if you have questions, to message Jilly. She seems more than happy to answer any questions that you have. And I will post the link to her free Exhausted Mom Survival Guide below. I will post the link to her 21-day program below, and her Facebook page below as well. So thank you so much for coming on today. That was really great information and so important. So many moms can use this information for sure.
Yeah, my pleasure, and thank you so much for having me, Bree. This was fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. Take care, everybody. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.